Welcome back, everybody, to Dren 608, doing my Vietnam 1965-1975 initial sort of how-to playthrough. I did several bits. I did the setup, did the first interphase where you skip pacification, and then did some operations, showed you a few operations, mostly NLF operations, a couple of allied ones. This is a situation after I sort of semi-played through the entire first pair of turns. The Marines managed to push them out of two captured capitals down here. Did have to use some free fire to get away with it. And managed to hang on to this by using all my aircraft. I did lose an air point in this battle. And so on. And then some movement by the VC and the Allies to try and affect the upcoming pacification thing. One of the things I wanted to show you was up here in this little red target thing. There's this thing called end operation, end turn. End operation just kind of resets anything that you used in the operation. When you end the turn, several things will happen. First off, the season. So we reset everything here. You'll see that so we did the end turn, and what happens is that resets. It also resets, all of your operations, things, and stuff like that. Okay. Put your air points in the same spaces, the air points available and stuff, because this is the end of the second turn. The other thing it will do, now the next thing that you can do is you can say begin the interface, because what it did is it changed the, where's the turns? Where's the turn thing? Where's turn? There it is. It also moved it from summer 2 to fall 1. Still the same year. If you were at the winter 2, it would go to spring 1 and would advance the year. So it'll automatically update your turn when you say end the second turn of a season. And then what you can do is you say begin the interphase, and watch what happens to some of these So all of the ineffective units get taken off, and it resets all your ineffective divisions and ineffective corps leader markers. All those are taken off. So everything's reset and ready to go through the interphase. Okay. So now we're going to go into the. This is recording. I think I have to pull this up so you can see me do this. The record keeping in the first step of the interface is really done offline. That's where you use your paper sheets, or someday the someday spreadsheet that I will be making. I will be making a spreadsheet for this, following the sheets that were provided by GMT in the box. They'll look exactly the same as far as all the boxes going down. And then what I plan on doing is for each season of the main campaign. So it'll be, you'll start with the summer interface one. There'll be like a spring one for, so there's certain things you have to do beforehand to carry over to the beginning of the summer interface. Like the NLF has to have allocated their trail supply to begin with and stuff like that. Okay. So it'll basically go from 1965 through 1975. It will have all the seasonal interfaces there, and they will carry forward from column to column, just the way the sheet tells you to do. Take from this one, put it in the next column at X, Y, Z position. It'll do all that and do all the math for you, so that you should be able to fill that out, and it'll automate what it can, and you'll have a game record. and then the NLF will have one. There'll be one for the ARVN and one for the US. There'll be probably like one sheet that's the US player. That'll have both ARVN and US tabs in it. And then there'll be one in the one for the NLF player, since they have to be kept secret. And then at the end of the game, the NLF player should hand over his sheet and make sure that all the calculations that he did agree with the allied player. Should probably keep track of what they see spent, so they can see if any mistakes were made along the way. Pretty much when you're playing this game, because of the hidden nature of the NLF player, you have to trust the NLF player to do things correctly. They might make a mistake here or there, but usually the enjoyment of the game comes from doing it correctly and seeing the result from that. So with that provided, I think now I'm going to start messing around with the pacification. So we have to go through each province, okay? It has 2 VC. Let's go up here to this, and this is me. I didn't quite figure this out immediately. So I clicked some buttons in here, and then I showed all the numbers there. So I clicked it once, then I tried to show the report the die roll modifiers are set, but I forgot to hit a button. So you're going to see me messing about here for a bit, trying to figure out what I did. So I hit it once. It's technically a -1, and then you have to hit enter and then go on to the next one. See, I'm not hitting enter on these. So what I did is I went back, I reset it, I said it's 1, and then I hit the enter pick. When you see this here, that means you hit the enter, and it's now actually entered into that region. And I did this, I messed up a couple times. So I had to go through and reset things here. I finally get it right about now, I think. As you see, the pacification die roll modifiers are coming up correctly. And I'm just going through all the regions, like we're down in core area 2 now, doing these things, okay? Setting the pacification numbers. Now, this is an important thing. When they're doing pacification, if you're on the border, like here, the US gets to decide where that counter is, not the VC. So he said, hey, it's on a border here, it's not in a cultivated hex or a town, so it's going to be in this one, so that you have 2 guys and 1/2 means it rounds down there, and then down here, instead of having 6, he only has 4, he only has 5, which will only give this a +2. Okay? So that one went to a 1 for Fu Yen. And then for Kan Ho, it's only a 2. So this is a bad play by the VC. Pay attention. You do not want units on the border if you can help it. You want them firmly established in one location or another, not on a border, because then that lets the US player decide. So keep that in mind. By the way, if you like what you're seeing here, please go ahead and hit this thumbs up button, hit the subscribe bell and button, and then the notify bell will be notified when I upload videos and scheduled streams. We're going to just keep going here. We're in 2-7 now. 3 units in cultivated hexes. This was one down here that I just couldn't get any US units to, so near the end of the turn, the VC just went, run for the cultivated hexes, run for the cultivated hexes. So they get 3 for 3 units there. And then 3, 4. This one here, there's 4 units, so that should be a 2. Because they're not in cultivated. There was nothing in those. And I'm just going through and I'm setting all the... So I'm down in 4th core now, trying to establish all the things here. And now... somewhere in here, I think it's... Yeah, see, there was a captured capital that we had to add one. and a free fire for 2, plus the one guy in cultivated. So that became very nasty. This is this one over here. And I needed to show this to you. He has a half. This guy only counts as a half. This guy counts as 1, even though he's on a border. If it's a border cultivated hex or town hex, it counts against that one that it's a border in. It counts on which side of the border is. Cultivateds on borders actually count for the thing it's on border of. This guy's on the wrong side of the border. This guy's on the wrong side of the border. This guy's on the right side of the border, but he's only in a forest, so he's only a half. So it was like 1.5, which rounds down to 1, essentially. But I did have a captured capital in there and a free fire. Oh, I think I'm doing this one down here. But that's where this one was a captured capital, and so it was 1, 2. Chow Doc, where's Chow Doc? Did I miss Chow Doc? Ken Hoa is... Oh, that's over here. So we had a free fire, captured capital, and he has one guy in the free fire, or in the cultivated hex. That's that hex. If you go back up to Chow Doc, which was the very beginning of 4th, is it right? Where the heck is it? Here's Chow Doc. So 1 for the guy in fair, and then 1 for captured capital here. So we're just going forward here and just doing all of these. And my cat's bothering me. Now we're getting near the end here. We're getting down into this group down here. And that's set at 2. So now the next thing I should be doing, so I go ahead and I check, and you get this really nice long list here of everything that's going on. You can see all the reported die roll modifiers, the numbers you entered by region. So you can actually go through and double check if you really want to. You know, your opponent can double check and make sure that all those numbers are what he agrees with before you actually hit the next button. And the next thing you're going to do is you have to bring up this map here. Okay, so you bring up the pacification map, which is this button right here next to, this is setting all the numbers, this one here, where my mouse is bouncing. And this one is going to bring up this map. And then you hit the Pacify Provinces button, and it gives you this big long report, and you can scroll through it to see how things went as it starts. It starts off down here at Gokong. I don't know why it starts at Gokong. I've never quite figured out why it starts down here instead of up here. You think it would start at the top and work down just like you did all the pacifications, but it doesn't. So it's going to go through these, and you'll see that it shows you what it rolled. The modifier was 0. So it came out as a 4, resolved on column 1. So if you look at the charts, pacification. So it was resolved on column 1, which is like this column, I guess. Because my morale is less than 70, so we're actually shifting to the left. Okay, so it's 2 in favor of the NLF when you get a 4, right here. Does this work on this map? No. Nope, it doesn't. Okay. So right here, this is a 4, goes to here. Nope. So it's right there where my mouse is bouncing. So that's 2 in favor of the NLF, which takes it to a 0. I had 0 population in that one anyway, so it's a 0 minus. Didn't change the population number. The next one is modified by 2. You rolled 6, modified by -2, so it's a 4. Column 1, 2 in favor of the NLF. Population is 0 again. Then this one is 12 minus 2, which is a 10, resolved on column 1. It's 2 in favor of the South Vietnamese here. So I actually gained a population there. And it goes on down all through this. So you can check and see the results if there was a big swing in any given population region if you wanted to look. And what you see on here is on the pacification map, you'll see this one went up to a 3+ in Kontum. Phuban went to a 5+, so it moved up a little bit. This one slipped a little bit, went to a 6-. This one slipped up a little bit to a 2+, a 5+, a 13+, a 6-, a 5-, and so on. So you can actually make this map a little bigger if your eyes are old like mine. And you can see the numbers where they either stayed the same or they went up by a little bit or whatever. You can see what the final results are of all your locations, okay? And then the other nice thing that it does, if we go down here, a long report showing what happened by province. So you can see all the die rolls and where you're at. In the end, what you'll end up with is you'll end up with this thing popping. You pop up this, a net drop of 3 pop from Southern and +3 for VC control. So on the VC side, or on the South Vietnam controlled population, you see that it's plus 214 instead of 217 now, right? You have to bring up this one for the next step. Automatically adjusted for South Vietnam. On the V side, you need to hit this set button here. I'm going to hit that in just a second, and it changes the number up to 146 from 143. So if you go back, you'll see that it was 143, and then you hit the set button, and it goes up to 146, because it basically says 360 minus whatever this number is. So on the VC side, you do have to do a little manual, hit the set button to get your population set correctly, okay? And that's basically the pacification phase, okay? I'm not going to go through the entire interface. One of the things I did try to do here, I'm going to zoom this up, is I did try to go you have to remove the manually the captured capitals, because the game can't tell if that's really sitting in a capital, still captured, or if it's just out to the side to remind you to count it, okay? I skipped to the end interface step to check that, and not sure what is automatically removed. So when I hit that, it said complete, previous offensive ends if they had an offensive. Set if the offensive if they declared an offensive, and then start the turn sequence of play. So I didn't do the whole leader effectiveness and all of that kind of stuff. But you notice the free fires disappeared. So the free fires get removed, but you still have to take out the captured capitals yourself, okay? And that's what I did there. Remove free fire designation, but it can't tell if captured, so it's deleting the ones. Get that. And that's it, okay? This is going to be the last one in the series of the how-to on the GMT's Vietnam. That ends the log file. I did do a check. It's something I'm going to report to GMT. Hopefully they can get this fixed. One of the things that goes wrong here, if you look at the eliminated box, if you eliminate a unit like this, you say send to the dead pool, right? It goes there. It says that it returned to force pool and it eliminated, but it doesn't return it actually to the force pool. That's a lie. It does not go to the force pool. It goes in here. And if you check the number, it shows you, you've got 3 units in here, so there's 3 dead. It's saying there's 3 dead units. If you had a like a headquarters fall in here, or a supply unit, or one of the brigade-sized units fall, the regimental-sized units falls in here, then they would tell you how many units. Be like 4 units. Let's just do that real quick. Force pool. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's just grab one of these, we just drop it on the map someplace, and then we say, go to the dead pool. Now, if you do the dead count, it shows you, hey, there's 4 dead with 6 count, because there's 6 units in here. The problem is if you, let's say for some reason you have no other battalions and you have to use these 3 battalions down here to do your drawing for a breakdown or something, or if you have 4 or 5, you know, let's say you have, we've sent all these guys to the dead pool, okay? So now it's telling me that I have a value of 8 with 6 dead units because this thing's worth extra. But now let's say you have nothing left in your force pool and you have to break down another regiment to take losses, okay? These are supposed to technically be pulled, and if your force pool happened to be empty, right now I have something in there, but if your force pool was actually empty, they're not in that force pool. These are supposed to be drawable as well, okay? Well, if you go and return to the force pool, it does not count anymore. It's lost its count, okay? So what I've taken to doing, and something I should strongly suggest you do as the allied player, is go grab this NFL unit eliminate victory point thing, and just count the number of units that you've actually taken out as you take them out. In other words, you know, you'll know when you attacked it, you'll have revealed it, you'll see what you've actually eliminated, and you can just up your battalion count here, especially if you're not in an offensive. So you can count how many you've taken out. And then when the NFL player has to do this, the NLF doesn't have to worry so much about keeping this count relevant for removal of units, okay? It's a nice little thing. It really should be, the dead value should probably not reset until you get an end of, beginning of interface button is when that should really reset. So it should retain its count even if there's nothing here, but what it's doing, I know the programming behind it. When you click this button, it's counting the value of the units. They have a hidden value in their designation. Battalions are worth 1, these are worth 3, headquarters are worth 3, supply guns are worth 3, political sections are worth 1. So what it does is it just counts up the value of those units and tells you how many physical counters did it count and how much value it had. Since there's nothing in here, it's going to say it's 0, 0, but we know that I killed 8 points worth of stuff. So as the allied player, keep track of this out here. So the NLF player, when if he has to pull those guys back, it's going to mess this nice little automation thing up. Okay, so it's just something to keep in mind when you're playing the game. Just as the allied player, keep track of the battalions you're knocking off, because if they have to, you know, throw things back into the pool to pull from to break down, especially in later turns when there's more of these regiments floating around and they may want to break them down for losses so that they can get some extra replacement points in or something like that, or have extra units to run around to do pacification and stuff. You may see that happen more, and then this count, the count of units that you've killed, will not match what's in here because they'll put them back to pull them. So that's something that, as an allied player, you have to keep track of the units you're killing. And this is a nice little marker that's in the markers. What is it? This one? I think it's in here. It's in the record keepers, and I think it's that one. So it just says NFL unit elimination victory points. So you can keep track of your, they call it victory points, but you're just basically keeping track of the eliminated points, battalions, brigades, North Vietnamese units that you might have knocked off, so that you get your plus, all your pluses. If you can get it up over 30, 30 and above, you start actually getting some U.S. morale for it. Kind of a hard thing to do. You're lucky if you hit 30 maybe once in the game before you're dealing with offensives, and then how many you kill doesn't matter. But just so you know, that is a little quirk that the automation does not take care of properly. So as the allied player, keep track of what you've knocked off every turn, and then reset this to 0 at the beginning of each pair of turns during the interface. Okay? All right, I think that just about covers this. If If you like what you see, again, hit the thumbs up button. You really like to see, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notify bell, be notified to upload videos and our scheduled streams. I have not seen any comments about people asking me if I could find an opponent to try and do this long term and put out, videos with our vlogs and commentary from both of us. It might be a project that I'd like to get into. I would have to find someone that is committed to, playing the game long term, at least through, 7 or 8 of the years, if they haven't beaten me by then. Just to make sure that you get a feel for how the game kind of ebbs and flows throughout. I had a very interesting first summer where I had a huge mess come at me here, where I had a coup happen and all these guys dropped down, levels, so that you actually I have to roll for 3 leaders here and 2 leaders over here. I only had to roll for 2 leaders last time, but now I have to roll for 5. Most of these others are positive, so I'm not going to mess with them. So it was a very interesting problem. This upcoming interphase probably would have seen another coup because I have so many units that are way down here. Unless I can get some of these guys replaced and, put back up here in the higher loyalty bin for the 2s. If you ever get this guy out, you really want to try and keep the loyalty up, not have a coup, because you don't want to lose him. Okay? And because he's the best leader that you can actually pull out of the whole shebang that's out there. Because he's +1 to South Vietnamese, and he doesn't hurt the U.S. So that's kind of nice that he helps the South Vietnamese start climbing up their morale. It makes it so that the U.S. doesn't have to keep doing bombing or something just to counteract the bad things that the leader is doing here to the South Vietnamese morale. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, leave me comments on what you like, what you don't like. If you want to see me go ahead and try and find an opponent and do a long-term video series on playing the game out completely, I can try and do that. I'm definitely not going to try and play it solo again. Last time I did that, it was too trying on me to try and remember when I was supposed to go back and how many days it had been since I played one side. I had mentioned this earlier, that what I would do is I would do a whole bunch of these kind of moves, and then I would log off, and then I would log in as a US player with everything face down, and then try to, designate my attacks, and then I'd have to log off and log in as the VC player to show, flip things over, and then have the US finish its attack or whatever. It was very, very tedious. If you play as the referee, you know what everything is, so it's kind of hard to say, well, I would attack this guy because you don't know he's a 3. You don't know that's a political section. You don't know what you're facing. You're only facing the other side of the coin, just the blue side. Very hard to play this solo. Some of the scenarios you can probably do fairly easily, but this campaign game is very, very hard to do playing solo. All right. Okay, well, I think I've babbled on enough. So I'm Dren608. Until we meet again, stay safe and bye-bye.